better stream and make it more pleasant for you guys. So this is the SM7B. It's the microphone that I use right now. The new camera that I've got going on here is the Sony A7C. That's plugged in with a charger. Over here is a Logitech. Just in case if this goes out, I got this one as well. I've got my main screen here. You know, you gotta hit the curve right there. And we've got the secondary monitor just for anything else. Like if I'm bouncing back and forth, and you gotta know what the deal is. We got the light here to make myself look pretty, and then the Rodecaster soundboard. We're operating off a Mac Mini with a hard drive, and then back in the back there, that's where all the hub magic happens. I've got 2 new Pebble speakers. I've got my iPad when I use my drawings and all that kind of stuff, and the earmuffs. What are these called? The in-ears. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and we'll start this stream, well, right now. What's going on, Cowboys? Welcome back to the live stream. Oh, we got Ethan showing off his hair right now.
Oh, I didn't even realize I was live. I'm not used to being live right away.
This is a live show, and we're just welcoming you on. Let me take him off because I gotta welcome him on proper. We're just running around a little right now. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. We're back, ready to roll in another CNFT Tuesdays. You already saw one of my guests. I got to bring him on immediately, but we have another guest coming on. I think he's having technical difficulties, and he'll be on a little bit later. Good friend of the show as well. Anyway, there's a lot of action in the market right now. Banks are shutting down. XRP is shooting up, and a whole bunch of new mints that happen. I partake in one of those. Actually, Warden did too. So we're just going to talk a little bit about that, and hopefully we could get to one of my giveaways today. I had one last week scheduled with Tal. Tal, I don't know if you guys, but Tal and I stayed on the stream like an hour and a half afterwards, just talking shop, which was like fantastic. He's just such a good friend of mine and a good mentor as far as in this space. Anyway, really want to shout out the chat here. Curly Knox, Paul, Crypto Knight, Nat. Good to see you all today. Sensei. Anyway, let me bring on the guest that you already saw. This man gets airdropped gold, Bitcoin NFT or to null. Takes off like a rocket, sells it all for a profit, steps up his game like his name is Dr. Scholes. He is the one, the only, the crypto warden himself. Ethan.
I'm ready this time, guys. I mean, it was take 2. The first time doesn't count. We're just going to skip that. We're going to forget about that. But you guys know how I feel. You guys know I haven't been on the past couple of weeks, but I've been dealing with some stuff. But we're back, baby. It's the greatest day of the week for a reason. I've had some great luck the past couple of weeks as well. I'm just so grateful for everything that's going on. And at the end of the day, it's just life, man. It's so amazing to live. So amazing to go out and enjoy it. Keep working hard. It's CNFT Tuesday, baby. Let's go. I'm excited.
Good to have you here. Real quick, I just saw that our other guest hopped on, which is great. But really quick, and we'll probably revisit this, especially with the other guest's insight. But you got airdropped the Pepe, right? What'd you get airdropped with the ordinals? Can you tell me a little bit of backstory about that, and then we'll bring in our next guest.
Sure. So basically, I had just created an ordinals wallet because I was looking to transfer an ADA over from Cardano into Bitcoin. So I had done that through Bourbon. So Bourbon was a great help with that. So I set up my wallet. I did all that. I got the ADA going. And then a couple weeks later, Bourbon hit me up. He's like, hey, bro, you got this in your wallet. I was like, I don't know what this is. And so I clicked on it, and they were so hot at the time. I was like, bro, 0.2 of a Bitcoin, all for a picture? I mean, I ain't complaining. And it was airdrop for free in my wallet because, I didn't even know it was there. I had created a wallet. I made the inscription, and it just happened to be that they had airdropped those for people who were inside a certain inscription, at the time. So I was super blessed to be able to receive it. I walked into your office. I was like, bro, I don't know if this is real or not. Like, it's going for this price too. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So I'm super blessed that it happened.
That's awesome. We'll return back to that. I just think that was awesome. I was talking about that a lot for the last stream with Tal, but yeah, I think that's awesome. Anyway, let me bring in our next guest here, the man of the hour. This is the man to be thanking. Because of him, your wallet should be banking. Money in sight, knowledge and insight. If you don't listen, your portfolios will be tanking. The one, the only Stephen Ward from VyFi. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I always love your rhymes.
Good. Well, I try hard. I'm living out I like to say I'm living out an old middle school dream to being a rapper here.
Well, you're doing a good job, I'll tell you what.
What was that?
You're doing a good job. Let's see. I've got another microphone. So I'm just going to quickly see if it works.
Yeah, no, we could hear you and see you and all that kind of stuff. It's all really good. Nope. You might have to switch. You might have to switch your input on Restream though. You might have to check that out.
Yeah. I'll figure that out later.
So, what's up,
thank you
Steven?
so much.
Welcome to the show, man. How you feeling in the markets right now? I know you're the bank guy. You're the guest on here with all the insight. There's a lot to talk to you about. I want your take on ordinals. I want your take on the banking system. I want your take on what's happening with VyFi. Probably all in that order. Let's start with that. And looks like we got some people in the beta testing. So let's
hello. Thanks so much for being a part of that, Curly.
Yeah, let's get into it. So are you part of the ordinals movement with any of that?
I wish I had time to be part of a movement right now, but going into a public testnet with a project doesn't really give you time to be super active in other communities.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure. Okay. So if Warden is sitting on NFTs right now, based on the state of the market, what should he do? Okay. I think this Pepe Frog thing is to like 0.8 or 0.08 of a Bitcoin. And if anything, all of us are sitting on some kind of NFTs. Where do you see the market going, especially with all these banking crises? Maybe you could give us a little background information if we don't know what you're talking about. I might kind of set that whole frame up, but maybe it's like, it would be something like, okay, the interest rates are rising up. Banks are losing margin because if they're leveraged on something like mortgage-backed bonds or something like that, they're losing a lot of margin. They're losing a lot of yield for their customers. So people are getting antsy, so they're withdrawing their money. And what ends up happening is they have a financial asset that is of lower worth, forced to sell at a discounted price so that they could honor their depositors. Well, that can't go on for so long. And so the Fed comes in and buys their financial assets at 1-for-1 ratio when it's really worth 50%. If I don't know if I'm trying to go slow, but if it's worth 50% of what the market would pay for it.
Yep.
And so that ends up as the Fed bailing them out and still lowers confidence for depositors. Is that a good summation? Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, that is a fairly good summation, right? I've got a lot to add to it. It's this is one of the things that have been keeping me up at night. Oh, that's maybe the wrong words. Like, its impact on the crypto market has been really interesting. And let's start at the beginning of the very first concept that ruined these banks, bonds, which, as I'm sure a lot of people here may know already, I was a bonds trader for years. So this is what...
Really quick, what is a bond?
Absolutely. So a bond is essentially a promissory note. It's government debt in simple terms, but it's essentially a note from the government that says, if you give me $1 million today, in 10 years time, I'm going to give you back that $1 million, right? And in the interim, every year, I'm going to pay you out what's called the notes. Oh my God, how am I forgetting the name? Well, the notes value, right? So they're essentially paying you an interest every year. So over the 10 years, the government will pay you, let's say it's a 2% bond, right? The government's going to be paying you 2% of the million, which is $20,000 a year. And then at the end of the 10 years, they give you back that $1 million.
Matures, you get the $1 million back. Yep.
Correct.
Okay. So everyone's on the same page here.
Yes. And correct, Curly, T-notes. Now, what essentially happens is there's an inverse price correlation. Well, let's say that even more simply. As interest rates go up, the price of bonds go down. And the reason for that happening is because when the bond is made in the first place, there's what's called the bond auction, right? And that interest rate is set at the bond auction. So let's say it's auctioned at 2%. That bond is going to be paying you out 2% every year, right? But interest rates go up. If interest rates go up, that means the bond should be paying me less than 2% every year more than 2% every year because the interest rates have gone up. So the risk for holding it is higher, right? So the way that you price in that difference is by making the bond cheaper, right? Because if I buy a $1 million bond paying out $20,000 per year for $960,000, right? Now I've essentially made that extra $40,000, right? Through the course of the bond's existence.
Right.
So that means as interest rates go up, bond prices go down, right? Now, SVB, in their infinite wisdom, had $21 billion worth of bonds and had applied zero hedging, like literally double zero, naught, which makes me super sad to see, because if I was working at a hedge fund, when I was working at the hedge fund, not if, when, if I went to the toilet for 5 minutes to take a piss and I wasn't hedged, the head trader, when I get back, it happened to me, at my desk, tapping me on the shoulder, mate, what the fuck did you just do? I'm like, I went to the toilet. He's like, yeah, but you got an unhedged position on your screen. You can't go to the toilet, piss in your seat. Right? And
It's
I was
that serious. It's that important to hedge.
It's that important. In a hedge fund, if you leave a position unhedged and you leave your seat, now let me give you an example as why it's so important. Because at first I was like, this is bullshit, right? But think about this. You go take a wee, get up, go to the toilet, pee, get back. That's 5 minutes. You do that twice a day. That's 10 minutes. Plus, let's say you do a poo as well. That's another 10 minutes. That's 20 minutes a day. In a week, that's an hour and 40 minutes. Over the course of a year that you're working, we're probably looking at 90 to 100 hours that you're going to spend at the toilet. You're telling me that something in 100 hours over the course of a year isn't going to happen in the markets while you're not looking at it.
It's fair. That's fair.
Right?
Very fair.
You've got 100 hours of possible news taking place that you're not at your desk on your position. Right? Yeah, even 20 minutes for some, Curly. Now, so the individual me going to take a wee once doesn't seem serious, right? But when you look at it over the period of time, all of a sudden, you've very much got a problem, and you've got a lot of time when you're not monitoring your positions.
Yeah.
These people at SVB, they fired their risk manager in April of 2022. Now, luckily, as you know, between April 2022 and now, not much has happened in the interest rate markets, right? Good thing they didn't have any risk management on it.
Yeah. Jeez Louise.
So they essentially had unhedged bonds.
It shattered them. It shattered
them.
Right? So what happens now, right? So like SVB's going down. Silvergate, not Silvergate. Silicon Valley Bank going down. Silvergate. Silicon Valley. And what happens to the markets now? Are we getting bailed out?
Yes.
And what is this looking out for the crypto markets?
These initial banks are getting bailed out, right? And what's really interesting about these initial bank bailouts is that the Fed is now running a super fine line where they're printing money and raising interest rates simultaneously.
Right.
That's kind of like biting your own tail to scratch your head. Like,
and
it just
it's
doesn't
not really a bailout per se that the bank is secure. It's a bailout of the depositors is what they're saying, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it's going to
what I mean by that is that the bank itself will fold and collapse. However, the people who have their money in it will be made whole, meaning they'll be paid out by the Fed, basically.
Mm-hmm. The way that a bank rescue should be. Speaking of, like 2008 was ridiculous. It's trying to save institutions that were corrupt. And by the way, so that what was really interesting about those bank collapses, that those bank collapses directly impacted crypto, right? Because they were holding funds that impacted stable coins directly.
Oh yeah, right. USDC. I have a friend who sold at 90 cents on USDC because he was freaked out so much.
Yep, I know a few of those stories, right? So we've got this position where if the banking industry that's connected to the crypto market's impacted, crypto goes down, which is correct. You'd expect that. When the banks, like Credit Suisse that aren't in the crypto industry go down, that's bullish for the crypto market because people go, oh, look at how crap the banks are. Let's go to crypto, which is an alternative to the banks, which in reality, the exact experience that we just had shows that that's not the case, right? We are actually influenced by the banks and we do have exposed risk to the banking and classic financial system in crypto.
Yeah.
Right?
Can I tell you a quick story about this just today? So my job at our job, I'm not going to reveal how much money, but we are over $250,000. And we were considering, we're like, okay, we have to move funds around. we're not FDIC insured at this one particular small bank. We need to secure everything. So we are in the process of securing everything. However, now we're like looking at the Fed meeting tomorrow. It could possibly tank everything. I don't think it will, but we could get to that a little later. But yeah, that's one of those things. I think a lot of people are thinking of, this is a real thing. We need to protect all of our funds if we're over this insurance line. So yeah, I just know that the small guys, which I am, is thinking about this kind of stuff.
Yep, go get yourself in a bank account that's FDIC insured. Like that's an advice that I would provide to anyone as a financial advisor right now, particularly if you're sitting in the range of $100,000 to $250,000. Right?
Yeah.
That's the critical range that you want to be ensuring that you've got FDIC insurance.
Yeah, and one of the things we were considering is crypto. Move it right into stablecoin. Keep it right and safe in crypto. So,
yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Be careful. Now that we're doing stablecoin, you need to also be checking the banks that those stablecoins are holding their firm assets against, right? So now crypto, yeah, I wouldn't suggest stablecoin. Unfortunately, I hate saying this, right? The reason Bitcoin is doing so well right now is because at the moment your options really are looking like hold cash under the bed, buy Bitcoin, or buy gold.
Okay.
Right? They're the options right now that are looking tempting, right? The world's in a shit state. The banking industry is in a shit state. The food supply chain is in a shit state. Everything's going pretty poorly.
What's happening with food? I don't even know what that means.
So essentially, the continuation of the Russian-Ukraine conflict is still hammering our food supply chain.
Really?
Right? Yes. So I don't know if you were aware of this, but Russia and Ukraine combined make 30% of the world's wheat.
Okay. Yeah. I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, but they can't expand. They can't export. Like Ukraine wheat exports and Russian wheat exports are basically stopped.
Oh boy.
Now that being said, right, as a result of that, Egypt, it's mostly African countries that are being heavily impacted by this, right? But that creates a sense of destability in the global markets, right? Classic supply chains that have always existed have been very badly affected in the last 3 years. And an example of this is actually the company that caused the Suez Canal disaster with their ship. What's it called? The Green.
That got stopped. It stopped it all.
Yeah. But the company that runs that ship has actually just posted record profits. And they're actually quite a nice company. They've given every one of their employees, based on performance, between 300 and 500% of their salary as a bonus.
Wow. That's 5x. That's a big chunk of change right there.
Yep. Very big chunk of change. They've been very kind to their employees. Obviously, that's a nice business. And if you look at the total profit they made, it's still only like, probably 7% of their total profit.
Sure. I mean, yeah, like they got a like super happy team, and now like 7% of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it, we'll just do it, right? But that's an example. The reason they've been able to make so much profit is because our entire supply chain is wrecked, and the bits that are still functioning are able to charge an absolute premium for them, right? And one of the big things that you should look at for all of these, particularly inflation and interest rate measures, right? It's really important to understand what your cargo volumes are, right? Because cargo volumes are telling you how much money is flying around the world, right? If I have more cargo being shipped, that means I've got more money changing hands between countries.
Okay.
Right? That means I'm getting an increase to my velocity of money with the more cargo I have, and an increase to my velocity of money increases my inflation.
Velocity of money is, and I know what it is, I'm just saying for everyone else.
Yeah, velocity of money is the speed at which money is changing hands.
Okay.
Right, so it's the, let me get the actual formula so I can describe it correctly, because I don't remember the formula off the top of my head. But it's essentially saying the velocity of money is equal to the gross domestic product, right, divided by the amount of the money that is circulating through and out of the country.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So how much money is your gross domestic product versus how much money has moved as a transaction?
Got it.
Now, the more cargo's going around, the more transactions are taking place. You're increasing the velocity of that money, and the increased velocity of money increases inflation.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So definitely seeing these cargo containers charging such a large amount and having such heavily impacted supply chains creates unease in the global markets, and it pushes people towards classic safe havens. What's fascinating is that Bitcoin is apparently being considered a safe haven now, which is news to me, but yay, I'll take it.
So, okay, so we're now in the crypto sphere, right? I want to know what your thoughts on I want to know three things from you, in descending order. First, or last, so I want to get to VyFi. Second, I want to get to like what you think about Bitcoin. And first, I want to talk about what you think is going to happen tomorrow at the Fed meeting. What's up, J Hub? So what's happening tomorrow then?
Tomorrow is, I think, going to be a 25 basis point drop.
Yeah,
let's just be aware that this is all just throwing darts at the board, right? Like,
right.
Anyone who says anything is guessing, and if they say otherwise, they're lying.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I think that the correct move is a 25 basis point drop. We need to slow down given the impact that we've had on the banks, and we can see that the impact it's having on the banks because the banks don't have to stress test anymore because the CEO of SVB was able to successfully lobby the Glass-Steagall Act out of utility.
Mm-hmm.
So that regulation was removed. So now there's 200 banks that are at risk in America because they've never been stress tested. And it turns out that if you hold bonds, apparently you don't need to stress test bonds. They're the safest investment, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a joke.
That's traditionally what people thought, right? Like it's like the government's not going to go out of business. So that's like that's the traditional thinking. Like I could go bonds; it's a safe route because it's the government who owes me money, not anyone else. However, like if the government's being leveraged by the banks can go out of business no problem. So
it's definitely something that I should say. As I said, it needs to be hedged, and it takes a 20-minute calculation and 3 button clicks to hedge it as well. Like it's ridiculous. They won't. Anyway, totally another story. So as a result of a 25 basis point rise, because now we've printed $300 billion, right? So inflation is going to start picking up again. That's just going to happen. Mm-hmm. So if inflation is going to start picking up again, because now these businesses are going to want to spend that money rather than hold it in banks as well, right? So these businesses are now incentivized, shit, this money might disappear. Let's actually put it into utility. So these businesses will be motivated to use the money that they receive from the investor depositor payout or the bailout. So we're going to see that increase in inflation, and it needs to be controlled. So the central bank basically has to raise interest rates, in my opinion. They don't want to, but you have to, because otherwise people can't eat food. Right? And it's all good and well to have an economy. It's all good and well to, talk about all this theoretical stuff. But at the end of the day, if you can't eat food, it's all bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Curly brings up a good point. I really think it should be 25, but Jerome has made a mandate. I wouldn't trust him not to put 50 on just to say a few.
And I would support
would crush
that.
it. He would crush the markets if he pushed 50.
Yeah, but I would support that. As a bonds trader, I would support that.
He would crush people. People will people will literally lose it all. Banks will fold very quickly. People will run to the banks and withdraw their cash that day, and it will fold like quick dominoes if he goes 50.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
And the market's not priced in the market is not expecting a 50 BP. They're expecting a 0, or they're expecting a U-turn. So I think they're more expecting a U-turn at like lowering versus 50 BP. If he went 50, it would crush things. Red, blood everywhere. That is Armageddon.
Yeah, well, 75 would be Armageddon. 25 would be blood.
Yeah.
It needs to be done, though. I'm going to be perfectly honest. It needs to be done. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, it's going to be blood red in the markets. And I guess this is my little bit of populism coming through. It would be blood red in the markets. It's not going to be good for me personally, right? But at the moment, the way that the global economy is developing, I am worried that we are going to have swathes of population that aren't going to be able to afford food. I'm worried we're going to have swathes of population, already it's happening in England, that aren't going to be able to afford electricity. They already can't afford electricity. Energy prices in England are insane. And not to mention food inflation in England is insane. You've got entire swathes of Europe, right, that you're starting to see fall under water crisis and food crisis between the recent drought and also the increase in prices of food. We're going to see over the next 10 years, quicker, what am I saying, 10? The next 2 to 3 years, if we don't start hammering in this inflation, we're going to start seeing civil unrest. Food produces civil unrest. If your people can't eat, they get angry.
Lack of food, yeah.
Right? If landlords can't afford their second investment property and lose it, kind of a little bit fuck them. You need to hedge yourself. Welcome to the market. I need the population to be able to eat food. Otherwise, we don't have an economy.
Yeah. I mean, people around my job know that if I don't eat food, there is civil unrest. So
yeah,
around the house too.
So it's extreme, but the quicker we think about it, like tearing off a Band-Aid, right? The quicker it gets done, it's done. And then we can start working our way back.
Okay.
Printing 300 billion and then doing 25 point basis point rise is kind of like you're just creating as much problem as you're solving.
What should happen is one thing, or what Stephen would do is one thing. What do you think will happen though? Okay, so like let's play this out, and then I promise we'll eventually get to Bitcoin really quickly, and then
that's
VyFi.
fine. This is my favorite topic.
But if so, 25 bips BP tomorrow. Okay, I think that's going to happen. Is the market going to turn green or red on that?
A little red.
Red, okay.
But I'm confident on crypto to weather it fairly decently.
Okay. And then in I believe May is their next meeting after that. What do you think there? 25, 50, 0?
We're going to have to see what the first quarter inflation is properly looking like.
Okay. Inflation is better. Inflation is going down.
Inflation is going down, and this recent print that they've had isn't going to be showing into the inflation figures until Q3, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
that's right. I didn't know that. Yeah, I guess that's right.
So as a result, we're not going to be able to take into account what's happening now. So I wouldn't be surprised if in May we start getting a pause.
Okay. At a pause, I would assume that the markets would go green.
It depends, as you mentioned before, right? It depends to what extent the market is expecting a pause.
And I'm going to say markets as in already assuming that the Bitcoin has not decoupled from the markets, and it's a mirror, not a decoupling. But some might argue it's decoupling. So I don't take it away from them. What do you think Bitcoin's going to do?
Bitcoin is in such an interesting spot right now.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy to think about.
It's really interesting to see that the unconfidence, like if we have further interest rate raises and it starts attacking more banks and more banks start doing poorly, exactly what J-Hub just said, we could see BTC to the moon, right? So particularly if they're particularly if it's impacting banks that aren't directly impacting the crypto industry itself.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense that there would be a financial instability and banking systems collapsing, and then Bitcoin shoots to the moon. I mean, it does as like fundamental because it's meant to be the hedge against it, but it doesn't as in right now. There's not enough.
Feels wrong.
It feels wrong. It's like this doesn't make sense. I don't
feels
know.
Wrong. I agree with you, and it's really interesting, which is kind of why Bitcoin is supposed to act as an inflationary hedge, right? It's supposed to. That's in theory what it was designed to.
There's not enough money in it right now. It's too small.
Unless more and more people become terrified of the banking system.
Let me give you what happen. Like if you're a banker and you just get like you're like, oh my gosh, this weekend we're going out, and then all of a sudden the shining cape of Jerome Powell saves you. You're like, oh, I just got all my money back. I'm going into Bitcoin. Is that what's happening?
Yeah. So let's and actually I will explain it to you from a risk management perspective why that's what's happening.
Wow. Please.
Let's imagine you're a bank that's fairly okay right now. You're not too worried, but you're seeing all these banks around you go down, right? Whilst you're seeing all these banks around you go down and need bailouts, You're seeing Bitcoin has just done a 40%, 50% rally, right? What's going on in your head at that point? Well, the financial system is experiencing instability. Bitcoin seems to be hedging that instability. I need to convert some of my treasury hedges into Bitcoin to protect myself against instability within the financial system itself. So right now, there's an institutional argument to be increasing Bitcoin holdings to hedge against banking risk taking place in Europe and America.
Do you think that's a real talk right now?
Yes, not only do I think that's a real talk, there was a report recently released by one of the agencies within the European Central Bank stating that they recommend that financial institutions put 2% of their deposit treasury into Bitcoin as a hedge.
2%? That's
Yes.
a massive amount of money.
Yes.
That could double if a lot of banks did that. That could
Previous-
double.
the
That could double
previous
the market cap for Bitcoin.
The previous suggestion was 1%. So they already had the recommendation of 1%, but they've doubled the recommendation now.
So
Right? Because the business case is improving.
So what do you think? Should we buy Bitcoin?
Never financial advice.
Never financial advice, but come on.
But
what have we been doing the last 30 minutes?
If you're in crypto, well, we've been explaining the narrative of what's going on in the market, not giving financial
Explain
advice.
it to me. I'm as lizard brain as it possibly comes. I need simple terms.
The only thing I would say is that if you're interested in crypto, you should always be holding some Bitcoin. And if you want to be loading into crypto right now, you should definitely be considering a portion of that load in Bitcoin.
Should I wait? Should I wait for tomorrow's meeting, hit red, and then buy?
Always DCA.
Good advice.
Don't think about it. You have $500 to buy 250 today, buy 250 tomorrow, then don't give a shit.
Oh boy, I'm gonna do exactly that. I'm gonna DCA, guys. Watch the Discord. Watch me load up my buys starting tonight and all the way into tomorrow. Well, I just keep kicking myself because I sold at 21,000 and I did not expect it to run up to 28 as like I'm sure no one did, but I mean this is crazy.
That's we had one of the biggest liquidations in Bitcoin history just before we had the run up to 28, didn't we?
It was insane.
Yep.
Okay. So we hit all the points I want to talk about except for one. But that brings us into crypto and that brings us into what you're doing. Could you give us, VyFi has always been one of those projects that I'm like, I mean, from the beginning, I'm like, guys, this is something serious. The neural net, the bar, like everything that's going on. Could you give us like maybe a quick synopsis of what you do, what's VyFi all about in case anyone doesn't know or doesn't remember? And then give me some of the new stuff that what you're into.
So yes, absolutely. Just really quickly, I want to acknowledge Curly Knox's point of the 320 billion Fed just spent on the global bank strap has erased 5 months of quantitative tightening, and he's correct.
What's this? What's it? But the 320. I didn't miss. I'm Curly. I missed this one.
And that's exactly what I was saying before, which is the impacts of that won't be felt until the third quarter, which is why I think.
Oh wow, this is a good point. This is a very good point. He's saying that the last 5 months of QT does not matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that in 5 months we're going to see the effects of this.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So,
what's the effect? What's the effect?
The effect is that we're going to have to start continue raising interest rates.
And then, again, massive downside.
Yes.
Is this a bear market rally? Is this what we're looking at?
Possibly.
Relief rally, bear market rally.
Yep, it's possibly a relief rally.
This makes a lot of
sense. That's why I wouldn't feel bad about having sold your Bitcoin at 21, as long as you still got more Bitcoin, right? I assume you're DCA in and out. You're not just doing more sums.
Yeah.
Because the reality is like when it was a 21, we didn't know a bailout was coming. We could just as easily not have gotten a bailout, and then you would have been like, "Whoa, thank God I sold out at 21."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, don't apply events that happened after you made the decision, and then say, "Man, I wish I had that information before," because you couldn't have.
Yeah, can't help it.
Yep.
Yeah, because I made like there are a few times I make big calls, and the one time I made the biggest call was in January of last year when I sold it all at 38,000.
Mm-hmm.
So
beautiful, great call.
Yeah. Golly, it just anyway. Yeah. So what's happening? What's VyFi and tell us a little bit about it.
we are an upcoming DEX on the Cardano ecosystem with a distributive mechanism built into it, which means that we use the fees that are accumulated on the DEX to rebuy our token. Now, shalom. Now we're going to have a oh god, now I've lost my head. We also have staking, community staking for different projects, so you can stake other projects' assets on our platform. We have a lottery, we have governance. We built the first lottery on Cardano, as well as building the first staking contracts on Cardano. Now, this is all on public testnet now. You can actually go check out our whole DEX on public testnet and our bar on public testnet. And it's all functional. So we're really excited because it's going to be coming onto mainnet very soon.
It's been a long time. This is great.
I know, right? God, has it been a lot of work. Now, what we're really excited about as well is there's a lot that's happening. But first and foremost, I want to add that we don't have the farms available yet, in the sense that we're not launching with our farms on our testnet, right? Our farms are going to be made available on our testnet with our mainnet launch, which should hopefully be at the end of this month, maybe the first week. Can I send you the dev app?
Yeah, send it. Send it in private chat.
Yeah. So that's our... So you can click app to see our current app at the top, but... Oh god, did I put in the wrong... Sorry, that could definitely be me. One sec. Yeah, because it's app dev, not dev app. God, I'm silly.
Actually, I keep forgetting that I have stuff staked in here. It's like the best. It's the best, actually. It's like,
yeah, it's nice. You just made.
Remember last time you were on here, I was like, dude, I have money in here.
Yeah.
Let me just check if I got money in here.
Yep, vaults. Scroll down. Staked only. You certainly do. You got your IDO passes in there.
It was awesome.
Beautiful.
I thought I had more.
It might be V1. Oh, no, at the top of the screen. Yep, and then go to, boom, and then click staked again. Yeah, there it is. So you want to harvest that. And you want to harvest that.
I'm harvesting all this.
Do it one at a time. It is Cardano. Remember that your wallet can only do one transaction at a time. Now,
I'll do this on my own time.
I'm harvesting right now. Let's go to the app. Yeah, perfect. This is the app dev, right? So if you go to home, you can see that these are our current pools that we have on our system. This, of course, is our beta test, so we don't have all the tokens in the Cardano ecosystem.
Really quick, can you give me an example or quick definition of a liquidity pool?
Yeah, absolutely. So a liquidity pool is where you put two tokens together so people are able to trade between those two tokens.
So if you have VyFi and ADA, this is like a liquidity pool, right?
Yes, right? So if you go to DEX, right, we've designed it very differently from all the other DEXs on Cardano. Because we've got so many products, we wanted to keep it all contained in as fewer places as possible, so users have as little to deal with on the menu as possible. Here you can trade. You can't connect your wallet unless your wallet's on pre-prod. I should add, you need to be on testnet. Here you can trade. So if you select token on the bottom, you can trade between any token, right? Now, if you go to add liquidity, now you can add liquidity on those tokens.
Awesome.
Right? And then if you go to your liquidity, that'll list all the liquidity that you have.
Oh, it's just like PancakeSwap.
Yeah. It's actually Uniswap.
Oh, Uniswap.
Yeah, PancakeSwap does not work like that. I wish. Now, this, in my opinion, makes it a lot easier. Yeah, you need to be on pre-prod. So if you have Eternal, you can... Do you have Eternal?
No, I did, but I don't really use it. It's so complicated.
You can also stake your Nami to pre-prod, but we've got an instructional. If you go to more... Sorry, no. If you go to... For TADA and more info, click here, and you just click there. There's an informational on how to set up your Nami with pre-prod. Wonderful.
I will do that after this.
So then if we go to bar...
Bro, this is it. This is what I've been talking about. This is what I've been looking for for over a year.
Yeah. This is our bar. So this is where you can put VyFi in. You get X VyFi out. You hold the X VyFi. At the moment, we have it as a scroll at the top. So if you go up to the top, you'll see that we've got VyFi being put into the bar, right? So these are serve operations that are coming into the bar that are not printing X VyFi, right? So that means that the total amount of VyFi in there, the TVL that you see, 234.17, whenever a serve takes place, that goes up without the actual value of, without the actual amount of X VyFi going up. So that means when you come back and trade back the X VyFi, you're going to get more VyFi. So as an example, if you put in 100 VyFi on the VyFi side, at the moment, that's going to mint you 88 X VyFi, right? After the serve operations arrive, now I should also add this private testnet's only been running for 24 hours. So, we still haven't done the first serves yet. We've only got people that are serving themselves. After the serve arrive, let's say the first serve brings 2,000 VyFi, right? With that 2,000 VyFi, now instead of having 234K, you've got 236K, which means when you mint back the 88X VyFi, you'll get back 101 VyFi instead of 100, right? So essentially with every serve, that X VyFi is gaining VyFi proportionally.
Awesome.
Now, what's really cool and fun as well, if you go to our decks, back to our decks for a moment, you can trade directly between ADA and X VyFi, and also between VyFi and X VyFi, right? Now, what this means is that there's going to be arbitrage opportunities between the bar, the VyFi X VyFi pool, and the X VyFi ADA pool, and the VyFi ADA pool, of course.
Yeah, if you're good, how do you do that though? Like this seems complicated, right? Like do I just set my VyFi in and get X VyFi out and then swap it back out?
You can do it right now. Go to home. We won't actually do it because you're not connected, but I'll quickly describe it to you. The price of ADA X VyFi is very high, and the price of ADA VyFi is very high, right? So go to the DEX. Put X VyFi on the bottom. And now swap them. So press the one in the middle. Yep. Now type in 100 X VyFi. How much ADA does that give us? 187 ADA. Beautiful. So if we sell 100 X VyFi, we get 187 ADA. Right? Now, let's change X VyFi to VyFi. Swap them. Wait a sec. Already, look at that. 113 ADA for 100 VyFi. Wait a sec. What does this mean? If we put X VyFi back in, put X VyFi back in. Okay, swap these two, top to bottom. We're going to buy 100 X VyFi with 189 ADA. Go to the bar. Swap 100 X VyFi. So swap them around. Yep. You need to scroll down a little because our cameras are in the way. Yep. That gives us 113 VyFi. Now go back to the DEX. If we sell that 113 VyFi, put VyFi on the bottom. Yeah, ADA VyFi. We're going to get, oh no, not X VyFi. We want ADA. ADA. Beautiful. We're going to get 353 ADA. So that means we spent 186 ADA to buy 100 X VyFi. We traded the 100 X VyFi at the bar for VyFi, and now we can trade that VyFi back for 353 ADA. So these numbers aren't very, because it's fake money, so people aren't arbitraging these. But that's how the arbitrage works.
Interesting. This is crazy. So I'm now moving between, on the same platform, the DEX and the bar, moving VyFi, or I'm going to rewatch this. I'm going to 100% rewatch this. Did you do the math for me? What is the percentage that we're winning on the arbitrage?
It depends how far out of arbitrage it is, but every time a serve takes place, there's going to be an arbitrage opportunity. Right? Because the value that X VyFi is being traded for VyFi increases.
Guys, I'm too lizard brain to figure this out on the spot.
Wait,
hot up here.
It gets far more enjoyable than this.
Good question.
Right?
Is any fees? I saw 2 ADA on the fees, right?
2 ADA. Yep. Now there might be. It gets a lot more exciting than that when we implement our farming mechanism, and the news for that is going to be coming out next week. We've decided we're finally going to be releasing it. We've kept it quiet up until this point. right? But we are essentially going to have the capacity to allow users to build LP hedging structures natively on our platform.
LP means liquidity pools, boys.
Yes. So as you put monies into liquidity pools, you're going to be able to group those liquidity pools and make hedging structures with it. And that will make a lot more sense next week when I describe how our farms work, right? But our entire aim has been to bring hedging tools to the blockchain. And with our implementation of our farms, it allows us to properly do so. So we're very excited about that.
I'm going to come back to this at like 40 minutes or so. I'm going to rewatch that exact process, and I'm going to do that as many times as possible. Curly Knox brings up a point here. I don't know if you guys, I could have your opinion on it. Eventually, VyFi will equal out to XVyFi.
Correct. So eventually they're going to be unarbitraged, right? And that's when the serve operation comes in. So every time a serve takes place, that arbitrage moves, which means due to the natural serving operation that takes place built within our DEX, there's always going to be a shifting of the current equilibrium.
Ah, okay. That's where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Boys, this is a new skill for me. I'm telling you, I'm not a genius like Steven here. So I'm going to have to learn with us all. And I'm going to be on a live stream and we'll have Steven. I'm going to be like, when it's all fully out, start arbitraging.
When it's all fully out, we're going to be doing some incredibly complex things together. The way that we've done it, we're going to be able to build butterflies out of our LP pools. So I'm going to teach you guys how to build butterflies out of the LP pools.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, true that.
What?
Finance. That's what it means.
Build butterflies. I have no idea what that means. I'm like, yeah, and the moths who will take over the world.
No, you got to be scared of the condors. They're the ones that come down and eat the butterflies. And that's an investment joke. A condor is another hedging structure.
What the? I don't understand.
Really? No, just type. If you put up your screen again and just type in Investopedia butterfly, and then get confused for a moment.
I mean, honestly, like this, dude. I'm a lizard brain with this stuff. I'm telling you.
Just type in butterfly Investopedia. Yeah, or Investopedia butterfly. Yeah.
A butterfly spread.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. An options strategy that combines bull and bear spreads with a fixed risk and capped profit. I'd like to learn more about this. This is where Steven's like hedge fund and all that trading, all that comes into play. So I don't know nothing about this life, guys. Don't if I start talking some nonsense about this, trying to teach y'all, don't pay attention. I'm talking out loud my thoughts. I'm not trying to teach nobody. So
but we're gonna and that's all going to be a lot clearer next week when I describe how that's all going to be working. But we're going to have so all I need to know now, Stephen, is a bleep when a whale buys. Yeah, approximately a bleep is when a whale buys. I'm assuming by bleep you mean when the market just does that.
No, some kind of notification or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, though, we're really excited because we're bringing a lot of new tools to the Cardano ecosystem. The distributive mechanism, the bar, is the first ever distribution mechanism on Cardano. So that in of itself is a step forwards in the technology, right? Using our bar, it's not quite the same as like a safe moon, and I'm not saying we want safe moon, but we could build a rudimentary form of safe moon where users are able to actually come and claim a redistributed token that gets split every time a transaction takes place.
Sure.
Right?
Is there any equivalent to what you're doing on any other chain so we could kind of conceptualize?
Sushi swap.
Okay, sushi swap. Okay.
And also a lot of DAOs implement a similar structure to this.
Good deal. Awesome. So I'm typically keen to giving away a giveaway. Do you have anything? I don't want to put you on the spot. If you don't, I do. I got some giveaways, so we could.
Does it matter if it's not from? Yeah. I'll throw in 50 VyFi. Why not?
50 VyFi. Okay, so 50 VyFi to use on the swap. Let's do that, guys. Let's see. Okay, let me pull up my thing here. Do you know? Have you played Pictionary with me?
I certainly have.
So here's my Pictionary generator. Okay, this is like on hard. So these are the number things right here. Tide.
And crawfish. I'm saying that we're going to have similar features to Sushi Swap, but we're also going to have a lot of different features to Sushi Swap. That's probably just the most analogous DEX to ourselves if we're going to put it to an example on another blockchain.
Is there anything that you'd want them to do? Do you want them to test this out? Do you want them what's a call to action for you? What's the best way we could help you out?
What do you mean?
Like anyone in the chat, what's the best way we could help you out here? Should we test
share our public testnet? Yeah. Share our public testnet on Twitter. If you could
Okay.
go to our Twitter post that has our public testnet and just share that, that would be fantastic. And we're hosting a lot of competitions this month to celebrate all the different farms that are going to be launching on our platform. So definitely partake in some of those competitions. We've given away almost 1,000 Cardano's worth of tokens already.
Guys, if you guys don't know, check out the links down below. VyFi, VyFinance. Be sure to like, and then I will be retweeting this. Be sure to check out the public testnet and find out how you could join and be a part of all this stuff that they're developing on Cardano. We want to support the Cardano creators, people who are bringing real utility onto the platform instead of just copying Bored Ape Yacht Club or something like that. You know what I mean?
And we've also got a bounty as well, I should add. So if you find any bugs, we do pay you out for finding bugs.
Oh, amazing. That's awesome. All right, so this is Pictionary. Let's wrap up the game or the night with this. I'm gonna go with really hard. Like this is the kind of stuff that's really hard. Creator, Blunt, Fake Flowers, Aftermath, Guru. Okay, that's the type of stuff we are going to be dealing with right now. Let me take this off. And I'm gonna add my.
I'm gonna get my vape for this. I think Pictionary needs that smoke atmosphere to make it feel like I'm thinking.
All right, here we go.
Don't smoke, kids.
Don't smoke. There we go. Boom. All right, let's see. What should I do? For 50 Cardano, or sorry, for 50 VyFi. Let's see. Let's do. All right, I got it. Here we go.
A VyFinance token.
No.
A pitchfork. Stonehenge being built by farmers with a fish next to it.
The ocean. Is that a mermaid?
Is that Poseidon?
Oh, Poseidon's a good guess.
Neptune?
Aquaman.
Strega Heart got it. Strega Heart, good job. Congratulations, Strega Heart.
Oh, Atlantis.
You are the winner. That was good. That was really good. Look how good that is. Golly.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Strega Heart, be sure to reach out to VyFi or me the BIM. I think is your personal handle.
Yeah. Me the BIM's my personal handle. Just
so be sure to check him out there. Guys, thank you guys for joining the live stream so much. Do you have any final thoughts on us for us, Steven?
Yeah. A final thought that I would just like to leave in terms of a macroeconomic perspective of the world is right now, don't lull yourself into a false sense of security anywhere, guys. Right? Everything at the moment is really up in the air. What we could be seeing right now could just be a massive increase in VIX, and VIX means volatility, right? So we could just be seeing an absolute sense of euphoria that's taking place in the crypto markets because classical finance is doing poorly, and people aren't taking in consideration that classical finance doing poorly is also bad for crypto.
Yeah.
So as a result, VIX is through the roof. Trade with care.
Trade with care, hedge your stuff, make sure everything is safe. Not financial advice, none of this stuff here today. Steven, thank you so much for the lessons here that you were dropping on us. I certainly learned a lot. Hopefully, Ethan, you learned a lot too. And
yes, sir. As always, when Steven's on. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow at the Fed meeting. I'd like to hit you up just to see what's going on there, and so be sure to tweet out your thoughts anyway, guys. Be sure to check out VyFi and the links down below. Check out Ethan the Crypto Warden downstairs in the downstairs in the low. I'm sorry, Mike Thomas. It was just a good show. I wanted to end on the highest note on a giveaway.